welcome back to Bava Kama Daf Dalet Amud Bet. We're starting from the two dots where we left off last time. Tani, Rabbi Yoshaya, so a Braita was taught by Rabbi Yoshaya. Shosha Asar Avot Nezikin. There are actually 13 Avot Nezikin. Instead of 4, there are 13 major categories of damage. Shomer Chinam, V'hashoel, Noseh Schar, V'hasocher. So these are the 4 kinds of shomrim, the 4 kinds of people who watch objects: someone who watches something for free, someone who borrows something, someone who gets paid to watch an object, and someone who rents an object. So all 4 of those are categories of damagers. Nezek, which we've discussed, Tsa'ar, V'ripui, Shevet, Uboshet. I'm not translating those because I'm hoping you know what they mean. Ve'arba'ad Nitin. And also the 4 in our Mishnah, Hatzleisar. Altogether, that makes 13. So all of this is a Braita. I'm going to highlight it in red. There are actually 13 categories according to this. The Tana Dizan, my Tana Lotani Hani. Our Tana, the Tana of our Mishnah, what's the reason he didn't teach these? In other words, why does our Mishnah only have 4 categories and this Braita has 13? That's a big discrepancy. Bishlama Shmuel, Benizke Mamon Kamairi, Benizke Gufo Lo Kamairi. It makes sense. Bishlama means this makes sense, or all is well for Shmuel. Remember that we've been discussing whose position about Mava is right. Shmuel, who says Shen, Rav, who says Adam, or other people who say water and fire, but we've rejected those. So it makes sense for Shmuel, because Shmuel says that the Mishnah is dealing with Nizkei Mamon, with damages that have to do with property, which explains why Shen is included, because it's damage done by your property, by an ox. But it's not talking about damages done by damages done to people or by people. And that's why he doesn't think that Mave means Adam. I'm going to list this also as part of the question. El Rav litne Tana Adam. El Rav litne. But for Rav, it should be taught, right? Rav thinks that people are included in our Mishnah because he thinks that Mave is a person, and so for him, really, there's no reason to leave these other categories, the other ones that Rav Oshaya has. There's no reason to leave them out of the Mishnah. So at the end of the day, the question is really, it's not just about our Mishnah, it's about Rav's reading of the Mishnah. Tana Adam v'chol milei de Adam. No, because Rav thinks that all those things are implicit in the word Mave, which means Adam. So Rav just thinks, sure, we have all those 13 categories, but the other ones are actually included. They're implicit in our Mishnah. Ula Rav Oshaya, Nami Hatani le Adam. But for Rav Oshaya, isn't it also the case that it teaches a person? Right? Why does Rav Oshaya get away with it? Right? Why does he list them separately? Why does he not think that they're all included under Maveh? Trei Gavne Adam, Tana Adam da Azik Adam, V'Tana Adam da Azik Shor. So the answer is Trei means 2. There are 2 kinds of Adam, or 2 types of Adam for our purposes here. And the 2 types are you have Adam. You can be taught about Adam da Azik Adam, right? A person that damages a person, or you can learn about a person that damages an animal. So those are 2 different types of those are 2 different kinds of people damage, and so he lists them separately so that he can teach about both. So in other words, that's why Rav Oshaya thinks that you need to include both in the Braita. Ihachi shornami litne. But if so, then shor also litne trei gavne shor. Right? If it's really true that Rav Oshaya distinguishes between these 2 different kinds of people, or 2 different kinds of person damage, person to person and person to animal, then, that's a challenge, then Rav Oshaya should also distinguish between the two different kinds of shore. Shore that damages shore, and shore, Litnei shore da'azik shore, right? Let Rav Oshaya's bright to teach about a shore that damages a shore, and let it teach about a shore that damages a person. Litnei shore da'azik adam. Right? That's what should have happened if you're right about the adam thing. Hai mai. Now, what's the comparison? Bishama adam da'azik shore nezek hu d'mishalem. It makes sense because a person that damages an animal pays nezek. Adam da'azik adam mishalem arba dvarim. But a person that damages a person, as we know, has 4 additional payments. Ella shore, but when it comes to an ox, mali shore da'azik shore, mali shore da'azik adam. What's the difference for me? What do I care whether the shore damaged another ox or whether it damaged a person? Idi ve'idi nezek hu d'mishalem. Right? Either way, the shore, the animal or the owner of the animal, is going to pay the same amounts of money. So that explains why Rav Oshaya needed to separate out, or could have wanted to separate out the 2 different kinds of people damage, people to people and people to property. But when it came to shore, those could all just be lumped together under shore. There was no need to separate those because they all pay. When you're talking about a shore doing damage, it's only nezek that gets paid. The shore doesn't pay, or the owner of the shore doesn't pay nezek and tzara and all those things. Now we have another challenge. V'hashomer chinam v'hashoel noseh schar v'hasocher de'adam da'azik shorhu. But wait a second. Going back to what you just told me about the people and the different kinds of people damage, but a shomer chinam and a noseh schar, all these different kinds of shomrim, are actually, at the end of the day, they are really people that did damage to animals. Like that's how that story goes, is that they were watching an animal and they were negligent in some way. V'katani tani hizeka d'biyat yadayim, v'katani hizeka d'mimela. And the answer is that we distinguish between damage d'biyadayim, damage that's done with one's hands, and damage that happens, mimela is like sort of incidentally or indirectly. So in other words, when we're talking about a shomer chinam or any of these shomrim not doing, causing damage to an animal, we're not talking about hizeka d'yadayim. We're not talking about a case where they willfully wanted to hurt the animal. We're talking about a case where they were just negligent, and so Rav Oshaya wanted to separate out those cases and teach the cases of hizeka d'mimela separately. Tani Rabbi Chia. So we have a new breita now taught by Rabbi Chia. Esrim v'arba avot nezikin. It's getting bigger. There are 24 categories of nezikin, actually, of avot nezikin. And here they are. Tashlumei kefel, which is double payment when someone steals something. This is what the Torah describes, when someone steals something and then they are found guilty, basically. There's testimony in court, so they have to pay back twice. They have to the value of the object, or the object plus the value again. And also 4 and 5 times payment, which is what happens when somebody steals an animal and kills or sells it. So that's 4 or 5 times payment. Viganav, and someone who steals something, which in the other cases are also dealing with someone who stole something. But in this case, the idea is that this is a thief who admitted to their crime, and therefore they didn't get convicted in court, so they don't have to pay double, but they still have to pay back the value of the thing itself. Vigazlan, and a robber, who's someone who sneaks into a house and steals something. Ve'edim zomimin, and a certain type of witness. I'm going to leave this category undefined for now. V'ha'ones, and somebody who rapes. V'ha'mefateh, a man who basically seduces a young girl who's not married and who's a virgin. He has to pay a fine. Umotzi shemra, and a man who brings a bad name to his wife. This is a man who accuses his wife of not being a virgin when their marriage is consummated, and he claims that he basically claims that she had committed adultery after Kiddushin but before Nisuin. So he's basically accusing her of not being a virgin and being an adulterer, but it's a false accusation, and he is fined for that false accusation. V'hametameh, and somebody who makes somebody else's food or produce tameh, ritually impure. V'hamedameh, and someone who mixes truma and chulin together. So mixes truma into chulin produce, which means then it's going to be hard to eat it. V'hamenasech, and somebody who turns someone's wine into yain nesech, into wine that is basically no longer kosher. V'hani tleisar ha'esrim v'arba. Plus the 13 that Rav Oshaya listed altogether, that comes to 24. Okay, so this is all a Breita. And there you have 24 categories. For Rabbi Oshaya, my tama lo tani hani. So why did Rabbi Oshaya not teach the other ones? Right? Why does he only have 13 and not 24? He's missing 11. B'mamona kamari, b'knasa lo kamari. He's dealing with mamon, with money, which is like a compensation, a payment. Yeah, that's compensation for something. But knasa lo kamayri, and he's not dealing with knas. A knas is like a fine. So these are two different categories of payment that are defined often in Chazal, in the Gemara. Mamon versus knas. So again, mamon is the restitution that you pay. It's when you pay somebody back for something, and knas is a fine. It's money that you pay just because you've transgressed something, and so we're gonna punish you for doing something wrong. So the idea here is that Rav Oshaya is only talking about the compensation payments, and he doesn't discuss penalty payments, which applies to some of the other ones, some of the other 11 that he's missing, but not all of them. So the Gemara is going to go through the categories where it doesn't seem clear that they are knas. Ganav v'gazlan d'mamonahu litni. But ganav, the thief and the robber, those are both mamon. Those aren't knas, right? Those are just cases where the person has to pay back what they took. So those why doesn't he include them on his list, right? Why not include those? Hakatani le shomer chinam v'hashoel. And the answer is, well, he teaches shomer chinam and shoel. He already has, Rav Oshaya already has on his list the shomer chinam and the shoel, all the different kinds of shomrim, and basically that covers the category of thieves and robbers, because what happened was sort of they misappropriated property that they should have they should have given back or should have not been theirs anymore. So I'm putting this as the challenge, and this is the resolution or answer. For Rabbi Chia Nami, Hatani le shomer chinam v'hashoel. So okay, but now we have a new challenge, because for Rabbi Chia also, you have right. He also has the cases of the shomrim in his list of 24. So why does he list them separately? Right? Why does he need both the gazlan and the ganav and also the shomer chinam and the shoel if Rabbi Oshaya would say they're basically the same thing? Tani mamona de atelier de behetera, v'katani mamona de atelier de beisur. The answer is, Rabbi Chia distinguishes between money that came to your hands behetera, money that came to your hands in a permissible kind of way, and put separately money that comes to your hands, or property that comes into your hands in a not permissible way, in a forbidden way. Right? So in other words, the shoel, the shomer, right, those people, when they got the thing, they got their hands on the thing in a legit kind of way. They were watching it or they were borrowing it, but then they just decided to keep it, and that was where they went wrong. As opposed to a thief or a robber, those are people who go in intending to take something, and actually, from the beginning, it's a forbidden act. We're going to pause there.